All right, let's go over your Chapter 7 practice test. We're going to start with number 1, and you have a negative exponent. Remember, you can't have a negative exponent, so it's over 1, so you have to make it 1 over 4 cubed. Since your exponent is less than or equal to 4, you have to simplify. So you get 1 over 4 times 4 times 4, which equals 1 over 64 for your answer. Number 2, you need to substitute x equals negative 1. So you get 5 minus negative 1. Always put it in parentheses when you substitute to the negative second. Minus the negative becomes 5 plus 1 to the negative second, which is 6 to the negative second. Again, you can't have a negative exponent. So you get 1 over 6 squared, which is 1 over 36 for your final answer. Number 3, make sure, I see a lot of people make mistakes. This is 5 times b to the negative 8. So b to the negative 8 is the only thing that needs to go down. Your 5 stays on top. So you get 5 over b to the 8 for your answer. Number 4, it says in 2006, the NFL salary cap for each team was approximately $100 million. What's this figure as a power of 10? So you need to take your decimal and move the decimal until you get to the number 1. So 1 is right here, so let's see how many that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 1 times 10 to the 8th. But since it says, what is this as a power, you only want 10 to the exponent. In this case, it's just 10 to the 8th is your final answer. Don't write your 1 times because that's scientific notation. Number 5, you need to put into scientific notation. So remember your first number, your decimal starts here. Your number has to be between 1 and 10. 128, 12.8, 1.28. So we have 1.28 times 10 to that third is a big number, so it has to be positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Times 10 to the 7 people. Number 8, write it in standard form. Since it's a negative exponent, you have to make it a decimal. So you would go left. So if I started 8.5, I'm going to go left 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put in my zeros. So I have point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 5. Number 7, remember when you multiply, you add. So you have y to the 7 plus 3, which equals y to the 10. When you're raising the power to a power, you multiply. So it's x to the 20 times 4, which is x to the 80th. This one, don't forget, 2 has an exponent of 1. So you have to distribute the 5 to both exponents. So you get 2 to the 5th, a to the 15th. And since your exponent is not less than or equal to 4, you can keep it as a 2 to the 5th, a to the 15th. Number 10, simplify it. So you have your 30 x squared y to the 6 over 42 x to the 7 y. So remember, you want to simplify each part. You can even look at them separately. If I would have just given you 30 over 42, you would have said, okay, what can I divide both of them by? Then you might have said, well, 6. If you divide them both by 6, 30 divided by 6 is 5. 42 divided by 6 is 7. So I know that's going to be my coefficients, 5 and 7. Then let's look at our x's. X squared divided by x to the 7th. Well, we know we need to subtract them. So if you did 2 minus 7, you'd have x to the 2 minus 7, which equals x to the negative 5th, which is really 1 over x to the 5th. So you know that your x to the 5th has to go in the denominator because that's where it is. Then you do 6 minus, this is a 1. So you have y to the 6 minus 1, which is y to the 5th, which is already positive, so it stays y to the fifth in the numerator. Number 11, by working as a private investigator, Mr. Barber earns about 3.10 cubed every month. About how much will he earn after working 100 months? Write your answer as a scientific notation. So you have to multiply here, because if he earns that in 1 month and he's working 100 months, you multiply. So you do 3.07 times 10 cubed times 100. But write 100 as a power of 10, so it's easier to multiply. So you have 3.07 times 10 cubed times 100's 10 squared, 1, 2 squared. So now you just add your two exponents, and you get 3.07 times 10 to the 3 plus 2 is the fifth. Number 12, it says simplify completely. So we know we just simply subtract our exponents. So you have 4 to the 17 minus 14, which is 4 cubed, which you have to simplify, is 64. Number 13, don't forget to put your exponents of 1 on. Distribute the squared in the top and the bottom, and you get 4 squared. Y to the 6 times 2 is 12. X to the 2 times 3 is 6. 4 squared is 16. Y to the 12 over X to the 6. If you have a fraction that has a negative exponent, remember flip the fraction, and you have a positive exponent. So I'm going to flip it to b to the fifth over 2, which is really 2 to the first. Now it's just cubed. So now you can distribute your cubed and get b to the 15th over 2 cubed, which 2 cubed is 8. So your final answer is b to the 15th over 8. Number 15. In 2013, the population of India was roughly 1.23 times 10 to the 11th, and the population of New Zealand was 4.1 times 10 to the 6th. The population of India is approximately how many more times as big as New Zealand? Since it's how many more times, we have to take India and divide it by New Zealand to find out how many times bigger it is. So you take your 1.23 times 10 to the 11th divided by 4.1 times 10 to the 6. So you divide your numbers. You would do 1.23 divided by 4.1 times 10 to the 11th divided by 10 to the 6th. 1.23 divided by 4.1 is 0.3 times 10 to the 11 minus 6 is 5. But this is not in scientific notation. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in standard form. So I go 5 right. So I'd go 0.3, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then take that number and put it into scientific notation. So I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4 to make it 3 times 10 to the 4th is my final answer in scientific notation. To put a polynomial in standard form, you have to start with the largest exponent. So my largest exponent is cubed. So I have positive 7x cubed plus 4x squared minus 7x plus 8. Always looking at my signs to the left. Classify the polynomial according to its degree and number of terms. The highest degree is 2. So a 2 is a quadratic. The number of terms, there's 1, 2, 3 terms, so it's a trinomial. Okay, number 18, you need to substitute 5 in. So you get negative 3 times 5 squared plus 7. Don't forget PEMDAS. Common mistake, make sure you do your exponent first. 5 squared is 25. Negative 3 times 25 plus 7. Negative 3 times 25 is negative 75 plus 7 gives you negative 68. When you're adding, remember you're combining like terms. You just drop your parentheses. 3x squared minus 4x squared is negative x squared. Positive 10, negative 7 is positive 3. We don't ever want to subtract, so for number 20, remember, change it to add the opposite and distribute and rewrite it. So you have 8a cubed plus 5a plus, distribute your negative, negative 2a cubed. The negative times the negative is positive 6a. So then you combine your like terms. 8a cubed minus 2a cubed is going to be 6a cubed. Positive 5a plus 6a is plus 11a. Now when you're multiplying, these are both monomials, so you just multiply your numbers. Remember, you can regroup it to negative 7 times 8, and then h to the 5th times h cubed. Negative 7 times 8 is negative 56. And then when you multiply your h's, you get h to the 8 because you add your exponents for those. For number 22, it says a rectangle has a length 12 units less than the width. So let's draw a picture. You have the width, you have the width, you have the length, you have the length, but you know the length is 12 units less than the width. So we know it's w minus 12. It says write a polynomial. A polynomial is the sum or difference of monomials. So we know that that's our final thing. For the area of the rectangle, I know that area equals length times width. So my area is my length, which is w minus 12 times my width, which is w. But then I need to simplify it to get w times w is w squared minus 12w. So I get w squared minus 12w units squared, since we're referring to area. 23, we're going to multiply. So we're just going to distribute. 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times negative 5 is negative 15x. 8 times x is plus 8x. And 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. So then you combine your like terms. Negative 15x plus 8x is negative 7x. So your final answer is 3x squared minus 7x minus 40.